Insane, guys. We got a great week ahead of us, man. So check the Patreon, check the YouTube member section. We got 4 tickets live. And if you could tell from my energy my energy now about the picks compared to last week, you guys should have, like last week, I told you all week, I was not happy with the matchmaking. I'm grateful we found 2 wins because going in, I have not been that cautious about betting all year in the last year. Last weekend was one of the most cautious weekends of fights that I've gone into in recent memory, at least in the last 12 months. And so for us to have gotten, we still hit 2 tickets, so that was a big relief, especially hitting. What happened was we hit our first ticket and our last ticket, so we had a good bookmark. Open, close, everything in between. It was kind of mush. You'll have that. I know you boys are used to winning a lot, and we are going to get back to our extensive winning ways. Check the Patreon, check the YouTube member section. There's 4 tickets up, a long parlay, a safety net parlay. I just posted our UFC dog of the week. And then I also posted an Australian prop double. If you're new to my channel, the one thing you can always expect are plus money tickets. I never will give you a non-plus money ticket. So everything you get from me is plus money. You will at least 1x your bet. It's what we do here. Okay. I'm excited. I'm excited about the Japanese card. I'm excited about the Australian card. I'm excited about the Zuffa card. I'm excited about the UK card. We got some, and the UFC card. We got some action. So that being said, we're gonna get into this. I'm going live twice today. It's early for me. Guys, it's Tuesday, March 31st, 7:15 a.m. here in Sydney, Australia. Wherever you are in the world, I say welcome. I'm excited about this weekend, man. Truly am. I've done a lot of tape already. I will post my first Stats Don't Lie video tomorrow. Not going to post one today. I'm focusing more and more on this week are the live streams. From here on out, you're getting 2 live streams every day. This is one of 2. I'll be going live again probably in 7 hours, And then Patreon. The Patreon boys, you guys get members only live streams there. The YouTube boys, you get priority live streaming here. And I bring on guys like Paulie Malignaggi. I bring on guys like Tommy Randone. I'm trying to get Joe Stunner back on. Gary, 3D and I are going to be doing more and more collabs. It's always a pleasure going on his channel and him coming on mine. We just have a lot going on. I'm going to message TJ, Chilltown. When we look at sort of sharps floating around there, I think as we're growing, we're learning to be a community more and more. So it's exciting times. Click that link that's pinned there. It's a couple bucks a month to become part of our world famous Johnny Says Boxing Betting Academy. It's a Discord. We just broke 450 JSPs this past weekend, and we're growing. So click that link. I'm going to take your questions. Exciting times ahead. Let's get into this. That'll stay pinned. Listen to Elf. Big Al in the house. We stay up. We stay up. I'm excited about it. Adam Marcola, that Holmes knockout was amazing. I jumped off my couch, bro. That started us off on the right track. He's talking about our dog of the week. We've hit our dog of the week 7 weeks in a row. The receipts are all up on YouTube. I'm sure the boys out there who aren't believers yet in our community will go check those receipts out. I don't take any of them down. You get all my wins, all my losses. You guys always, the insiders, they know you see all of my tickets. And so it's not like we wait until the fight's over and we show our tickets. It's like, no, you guys see this before the fights. And I think there's something to that. It builds trust. It builds transparency. What's the biggest upset on these fights? PJ, the promoter, right now I see the biggest upset. I haven't posted it yet. We're in the feeling out process. I know a lot of boys are quick to jump on Endry Sevdra. Endry Sevdra is fighting Denzel Bentley. Currently, the odds have Denzel at $1.53, so a 53% return. And Sevdra, I think, is at a plus 140. There should be caution on both sides. Denzel Bentley at his worst lost to Nathan Heaney. That's all I'm going to say. At his worst, lost to Nathan Heaney 3 years ago. Denzel Bentley at his best stops Brad Paul. Look at his resume. And Bentley is trending in the proper way. Andries Sevdra, at his best, in my opinion, drew with Matteo Tapia. So you just have to ask yourself, how is Matteo Tapia a good draw? I know Matteo Tapia. I watched him walk into this gym, Bondi Boxing Club, in 2019 when I was working with fighters there, right before the pandemic happened. And he's put together a good career. He has a good record. He's a good middleweight, but he didn't have an amateur career. And so I feel Sevdra's best performance was drawing with a guy, domestic guy like Australian Matteo Tapia. It was a great fight. Matteo Tapia was on the canvas. Sevdra was on the canvas. Sevdra is a hard-hitting Venezuelan. He'll be 35 in May. He's flat-footed. He wants to fight you right here. He wants to fight you here in the pocket, and that's where he would wish to fight you. Matteo Tapia accommodated that. Denzel Bentley is not going to fight him like that. I don't think he'll fight him like that. So if you would have asked me last week, I was 100% taking Andries Sevdra. I am now on the other side. I'm like 70-30 Bentley. When I make that official, whichever way, I'll let you know, PJ. Halawani says he thinks Wilder knocks Chisora out. Look, anything can happen in that fight. I got to be honest with you. It's one of these fights where it's going to be entertaining for the serious gamblers out there, the bettors. Just be cautious with this fight. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be putting Chisora and Wilder on more than one ticket. You're not going to see this fight. You don't see it on my long parlay. You don't see it on my safety net parlay. It's not on my underdog of the week, and you don't see it on my double. I've already given you 4 tickets. It's Tuesday morning. This might be a 10-ticket weekend. You know what I mean? There's a lot of action. I'm interested in Chisora and Wilder for the obvious reasons. Am I invested as a gambler in this fight? You guys might not see me even post a ticket with this fight on it. If anything, I could put maybe a half unit on an outcome. I think there's a good value play on this fight, a few of them, and you have to go either side. A value play would be Wilder by stoppage. A value play would be Chisora by points. A value play would be the fight going the distance. Look, I see a boring fight. Nobody can read the future. We're not fortune tellers. But at this stage of the game, Deontay Wilder is one of the lowest punching output heavyweights in the modern era. He doesn't throw a lot. And we know what he possesses in his backhand. Why is he fighting? Chisora, a 6'1" tank, doesn't have a lot of output either. The craziest shit about this is if they would have fought in 2019, we wouldn't even be questioning this. Chisora had just got stopped, and Deontay was on his run. Now 2026, they're fighting. It's crazy to think that Chisora is the favorite to beat Wilder. So just go into this fight cautiously. It'll be a fun fight to half unit bet. Let's just call it that. I might bet on this fight. I might not. Rene Santiago is my dog. I have Rene Santiago on a parlay. I love him on the money line. He's won us money in our group all of 2025. He fought twice. We hit him both times. His recent history of traveling to Japan as the B-side and upsetting the odds, things have changed now. He's still traveling to Japan, but he's the world champion defending. I'm a big fan of how he fights. This fight goes down Friday in Australia. There's also on this fight card another exciting. Dude, this is a sneaky good fight card. The one in Japan. I'm a big fan of Japanese boxing. They're always firefights. Yeah, Marlon Tapales. Tapales is on this card. This is a fun card. Ryan Hall, Matteo Tapia would beat Bentley. I just don't know how good Tapia is. I can never trust it. He's ranked in the world. He's in the top 15 now. I mean, no amateur career. Doesn't really have a step-up fight. He gets hit a lot. Kind of basic. Would he beat Bentley? I don't know. Johnny Magana. What's up, JM? Money Meach in the house. Little Showtime says what time it really is. I really like Garcia against Cortez. Zuffa main event. The Zuffa card, guys. Abraham Nova beat Cortez. I think right now Edgerton is the slight underdog. Andres Cortez. I'll pull up the. I'm gonna talk to the chat and then we'll get into the odds. If you guys are new to the stream, this is kind of what we do. We do live boxing betting daily live streams every day. I usually stay on for an hour or so. I'm going to stay on for an hour on this live stream and then come back later in the day. We're floating between 50 and 70 in this live stream. All I ask from you at this time of the week is to like the video. The time for super chats were yesterday. Super chat me on Sunday and Monday. And if you didn't super chat me on Sunday and Monday, super chat me on Tuesday. But from this time onwards, let's just like the video and let's get into the questions. This is my favorite time of the week. Obviously, who doesn't love fight night? But by fight night, we're like fighters, guys. The mindset of what we do, by fight night, we've already put in the work. We just sit up, put your feet up and relax and watch our work come to fruition. But this time of week is research. We're in our research phase. When you look at the Discord right now, the research is popping. We got guys like TJ Chilltown, who's a sharp. You guys should know about him. When guys like TJ are super active in the chat on a Tuesday, you know it's going to be a fun week. It's the Discord is my favorite social media site, our group. I used to doom scroll Instagram boxing. I used to doom scroll YouTube boxing. Now all I do is go straight to our Discord and see what's up. And it's if you're not in there, get in there. We got oh wow, we got Allen with the 49. This is dope, man. This type of stuff, bro. Thanks, brother. Alamoto with the $50 super chat. He's a JSB insider. This stuff could this means so much more to me than you guys. Yes, have no idea. Whether it's $1, $50. Thank you, man. We're building a really strong, well-knit community, building trust. Results speak for themselves. Alan, man, I really appreciate you, brother. We talked about this. I like Renee. I think John Magana. We talked about this already, but we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to that Zuffa card. The Zuffa card has been treating us well. Sevdra lost to Atundi, who has a long jab and similar style, and we just won a lot of money on Atundi getting beaten up in his last fight. Atundi just hasn't aged well. But at one time, Atundi William was in the top 15. Who's that nice prospect, that Dominican prospect contender who just starched Atundi? We won a lot of money on him. His name will come to my mind. There's so many fights. Me and Breaking Bad did a live stream and sniped that fight for you guys. I gotta be honest with you, man. This time last month I was on injury because a lot of the sharps messaged me. And dude, I've had people messaging me about this because I've had people messaging me about Denzel Bentley and Endry Sevdra for like 3 months. And I was fully committed to Endry because I saw the Mateo Tapia fight. So it was kind of one of these things of recency bias. And then once I dug a little bit deeper and I was like, all right, let me look at Mateo Tapia's resume a bit more. And I know Mateo. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I had kind of favoritism because that was a fun fight of the year candidate, at least here on Australian shores. I think the fight took place at the Caribe Royale in Orlando, it might have been. And it was a draw. But then once you dig a little bit deeper, because we always have to be cautious when we're betting from $1, whether you're a $10,000 bettor or $1 bettor, do your research. So I'm looking at Tapia's resume. I'm like, Mateo Tapia's resume, And then I'm looking at Sevdra's resume, and I'm like, And then you look at Bentley's resume, and you're like, oh, shit, this dude lost to Nathan Heaney. But then from the Heaney fight, you got to see what he looked like. And Heaney did not look like Heaney was on something. I mean, he was on one, meaning like he fought his ass off against Bentley. So where both guys are in their career, Sevdra, like I said, his style mixed with Bentley's style. Sevdra is going to be at his best against a guy who's going to stand there the whole time. I think Bentley is going to use movement and use his outside and his long tools. So like I said, I'm 70-30 Bentley. Rando Light, my boy. Johnny, I think Wilder Chisora will be. Me too. Sent from Pet. Sent from Pet says, Johnny, I think Wilder versus Chisora will be a slop fest. Fight goes the distance. Me too, man. And when we apply logic, right? When we apply logic, Sent from Pet, I totally agree with you. I think Chisora and Wilder logically will be a boring fight. I think Wilder logically won't have a lot of action. I think I see a lot of jab and grabbing. I see a lot of referee breakups. Now, nostalgia, logically, the logical betters like like us, we took Sebastian Fundora. I'm going to use this because this was the last fight. Logically, you take Fundora, but nostalgia, the nostalgic betters in our group took Thurman, and you could understand both. I think it's wise, though, regarding our bank accounts, we always bet logically. That's what I do. It's not always the case. And sometimes logic doesn't work. Sometimes logic backfires. Because logically, a guy who starts his career at 135, who goes up to 168, logically doesn't beat the guy at 168. But Bud Crawford beat Canelo. So if you look at just logic, it doesn't always work there either. I think there will be a lot of nostalgic bettors hoping that this is a firefight. And I hope that this is. I hope it's an exciting barn burner, throwback, rock'em sock'em thing. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a boring fight. Also, Wilder had his Olympics coach back and Stevens coach. He has two coaches. What's up, Chris? Warm it up, Chris. I'm about to. Warm it up, Chris. Chisora will gas him away. Wilder in the corner to throw looping. And look, guys, what is Wilder's best attribute? His backhand. What does Chisora do a lot? He gets hit a lot. I don't know, man. It's a weird one to bet on. There's a lot of action, a lot of clear action this week, and a lot of options of clear action. So you don't have to bet on this. I don't see clear action on Wilder Chisora. You know what I mean? Love to see Eduardo be the main event. Dude made me good money. Yes. Ryan, what's up? Needs Sevdra to win or I'm gonna cry. I got too much. Ryan, I like full transparency, bro. For 3 months, I've had guys that you probably know, have heard of, either in our group or on 3D's group, or I don't know where else you hang out in boxing fandom space. But people have been, looking at this fight for a while. And I know personally, I always do my best to keep people anonymous here. I know personally a lot of guys who are riding with you on this. I know a lot of guys who have a lot of money on Sevdra too. It's another one of these interesting ones. I have an upset of the week, but it's a girl fight, and I broke this down in my Discord. So if anybody's in the Discord, you want to ask me about that fight, I like a plus 350, and it's a girl fight. Guys, we're floating between 60 and 80 in the live. Could you listen to my boy Rando and like the video, please? Renee Santiago is the favorite. He's the A-side this time, PJ. You know why, PJ? Because the bookies caught on to us. This is what happens. You guys should remember there was a time where we used to be able to get Gabby Fundora by knockout at plus money. There used to be a time, but the bookies caught on to us. You know what I'm saying? They caught on to Renee Santiago. Look at Sean, my boy Sean Johnson with the $10 super chat. Guys, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Sean. We hitting on all the picks this week. Dude, I'm excited about this week, man. However you can help the cause, however you can support the team. Another JSB insider, not only supporting us, part of our community, but hit me up with the super chat. Thank you so much. Dude, we had 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we went 7 out of 8 on our tickets. And then 2 weeks ago, I think we hit 5 out of 7. For us to go 2 out of 6 with a draw, that's a bad week for us. We have bad luck. For us to have bad luck and still hit 2 tickets, just wait till we get our good luck again. You know what I'm saying? Because it's better to be lucky. We got the luck will be on our side again. Look, Ryan. Somebody said Ryan should cash out. Ryan, stand boots down, brother. And no shade to Scent. Look, the way I look at this is it's all it's normal if you guys ever played a team sport. Brothers fight, teammates fight, but they always come back together in the end. It's normal to give each other shit, but the last thing, nobody's trying to talk you out of your bets. I don't ever want you guys to think that I'm trying to ever talk you out of your bet. What I always do is stand 10 toes down. You know, whether it burns you or whether it suits you, at least you know your methodology. It's good to stand for something than it is to stand for nothing. You don't want to be a flip flopper. So you're already in, man. Stand 10 toes down, Ryan, and just either go down with the sinking ship or stand up after it hits. Like, let's get money. Bermain Chisora-Wilder has a limit coach. What's up, Retro? Retro Chisora by stoppage. That's if we're talking about patterns, if we're talking about how things are trending, I agree with this statement. What have you done for me lately? I mean, Wilder's coming off a Terrell Herndon fight. I mean, what do you make of that fight? He stopped him, but Chisora has been fighting with like a rejuvenated energy. Chisora asked for this fight. Chisora manifested this moment. People wanted Chisora to retire years ago. So that shows, I think that speaks for something. War Chisora. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not a homer. I'm not a guy who cheers for fighters. But if you're looking at the fighter with that sort of trajectory, even at this stage of both guys' careers, you'd have to say it's Chisora. Wilder's traveling to the UK. Do you think Wilder would have left the States 5-6 years ago? Why is he leaving? What, does he need money? Probably. Massive payday. Also, it's a fun fight. It's a fun fight for both guys. Both of their 50th fight. They're featured. Massive stadium, dude. Good on both of them. Hats off to Deontay. If you would have told me Deontay would have been able to put himself back in this position after what his career looked like 3 years ago, granted it's not for a world title, but dude, it's a massive payday. It's a massive moment in the sport. The heavyweights are the premier sort of feature. It's like good on both boys, man. You gotta. Sometimes we get kind of too convoluted on who's gonna win, and we kind of forget the bigger picture. People have written both of these guys off multiple times in their careers. So, if anything, the fact that this fight is going down, it's an attribute and it's an example that no matter how tough things get, you can always rebuild yourself. This is why we love this sport. It's why this is the best sport on earth. There's so many parallels with life and boxing. I have a feeling Bentley will get stopped. Oh, okay. Ryan has his money on Sevdra. I have a feeling. So sent from Penn. Ryan's good. Can we sell with the? Okay, yeah, it is, man. I'm gonna make a post after this live stream. I'm on your side, King. I try to relegate all the posts to the off topic. We have an off topic channel, so I've told them to only post this stuff in the off topic. Respect on the Fedora pick. I should have listened. First time I've been blinded by a fan of a fighter since Berlanga. Yeah, it happens. This is boxing. It's a double-edged sword, GK. Being a boxing fan of the sport, it's a double-edged sword. Because like we just said, there's so many parallels to life. It'd be impossible not to get connected to a fighter. It'd be impossible not to cheer for a fighter. But we have to compartmentalize our emotions with our wallet. That is the true secret to this game. The true secret in being a consistent, successful bettor, and now it was for the sport of boxing, is being able to separate the two, your heart and your wallet. Johnny, always bet with your wallet, never with your heart. Yes, Dad. He told me that when I was a kid. Being my dad was a Slovak. He was from Czechoslovakia. And, but I grew up in an Italian American, my mother's from Italy. So I grew up in an Italian American town. If you know anything about Northeast Ohio, the Youngstown area, Cleveland area, a lot of Italian immigrants, a lot of Eastern European immigrants came there in the 1920s. And so it was common, like gambling and betting on numbers and betting on picks. Was part of my childhood. And so my dad, he used to run numbers when he was a kid for the local mob guy. And so like I had a bookie when I was 13. My bookie, his name was Smurf. He was a year older than me. His dad owned a corner store in my hometown. So at 13, to put our NFL picks in, we'd have to write our NFL picks. Not there was no handicapping. I didn't know. It was just who's gonna win, and I never. It was horrible. And my dad would give me tips when I was like 13. Johnny, bet with your wallet, not with your heart. Chisora don't train no skills. If Wilder loses, then I can say he's shitty for sure. But you see a new Wilder, Christopher Hardaway. There's no these. Neither guy, neither old dog is getting new tricks. There ain't no new Wilder. There ain't no new Chisora. This is a cash grab, baby. Don't get it twisted. This is for the bag, baby. Chisora looks so atrociously bad against Wallen. Face swelling, bleeding. He looks like he'll pass out in the ring. Wilder needs 2 to tango. I think he wins. I'm not like I think I'm. It, you guys aren't gonna sue me if I don't bet on this fight. You know what I mean? Nobody is going to sue you if you don't bet on this fight. This might be one of the fights that we watch from an entertainment perspective. The best bet we'll ever make is the one we don't make. So I'm already convincing myself not to bet on this fight, and I've never done that. In the time I've done live streams and given you guys my picks. I've never sat out. It's, that's something that should be kind of applauded. You know, with me, I'm always in. I always got action. I've never sat out a main event. I'm talking all this shit right now. Like I'm gonna sit this one out. You know me. I ain't probably. You gonna have to cut my hands off to sit a main event out. Right now, I'm telling myself I'm not betting it. We'll see. Wilder didn't look good. Didn't look as bad as I thought against her, and jab wasn't that bad. Yeah, my thing with Wilder though is, look, I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything. Bentley gave Juice Janovic the hardest fight. This is why it's like, how do we reconcile the two? How do we reconcile Denzel Bentley versus Nathan Heaney and Denzel Bentley versus Elam Hunalay? You know what I mean? Was Heaney? Because think about what Heaney looks like, dude. Heaney's yoked. Could a fighter fade that much in 3 years? Like, is it possible for a guy to be that much demonstrably negative from what Heaney looked like against Bentley to what Heaney looked like against Warburton? That is a massive decline in less than 900 days. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions on that fight. Afro Jam. I rocks rough and stuff with my Afro puff rage. Rock on with your bad self. Guys, we're flowing between 73 and 93. Like this video for me. I hate saying that. Dude, why am I? You guys are forcing me to ask you to do that. That's your fault. Shame on you guys for making me ask you to like a video. I hate doing that. Chisora gonna back Wilder up early, put damage on him. If you don't stop him, it'll get sloppy. I see a sloppy fight, guys. I see a boring fight. Yo, Johnny, do you think this is the last fight for both? I do. I mean, Chisora says it's not. This was their last fight 5 years ago, boys. So hats off to both of them. Tim, I miss all these comments are crazy. Guys, the chat is just wild, so it's hard for me to get to everybody. Shawnee Shine's gonna sue me if I don't bet. Styles make fights. Shroud 7 losing stiff is silly. We got Win Santiago with this $2.99 $3 super chat. Appreciate you. Win. This is why his name's Win. Go to my Discord and check out the winning ticket section. This guy owns it. It's actually Win's winning ticket section. That's funny how Heaney beat Bentley. Bro, watch the fight too. It's like all of that lethargic style, that high guard against Warburton, but he wasn't pulling the trigger, flat feet. It was all the same against Bentley, but it was like when I was a kid, we had these sort of Matchbox cars, to where they're little toy cars, and you had a key in them, and you'd pull them back and turn it, and they zoom. And the analogy that makes sense to me for what Heaney looked like against Bentley, for what Heaney looked like against Warburton, is that the Heaney versus Bentley had that key turned, and that lethargic style against Warburton had this thing to it, and it was front foot, volume, pressure, the backhand was landing, and Bentley was struggling with the output. So that's why. So people are like, I can't believe you took Heaney. I was like, bitch, watch the Denzel Bentley fight. And that's all I was Was I expecting that to be degraded that much? No. So that's what it was. And the thing about Sevdra is not a front foot guy. Sevdra has lead in his feet. Sevdra has heavy hands, and he wants to stay in the phone booth. So he's not really going to depict the pace against Bentley. Bentley will be able to use his movement and his range to depict where the fight takes place. Now, will Sevdra be able to talk Bentley into a gentleman's agreement and force Bentley into that style of fight and fight Bentley's ego? That's a question we're gonna have answered. And for all the Denzel Bentley fans or supporters and bettors, that's the thing that you're betting against. You don't want Bentley to oblige Sevdra into that game. And all the Andre Sevdra bettors, you're betting on the fact that he will be able to fight Bentley's ego, that he will be able to talk Bentley into fighting that fight. Because if Bentley decides to pick and pop from the outside and use his athleticism and speed, he can make this look easy. I actually like this prop. We're 30 minutes in. I guess we can pull him up now. Guys, we are 30 minutes in. We got between 80 and 100 in this live. You know what to do. Tuesday morning live streams be slapping. All right, so Mosby, him and I are usually spot on with our predictions. Nobody sees eye to eye all the time. But whenever you kind of are level-headed with another like-minded boxing fan, like when you posted this, I was like, that's the one I was looking at too. Let's go over the value of Chisora and Wilder real quick. We'll talk about 3 or 4 different options because we know. Okay. I got to be honest with you. When we talk about the value, if you're a Chisora fan, I know guys who bet $5,000, even $1,000 bettors. A 49% return on the money line is an excellent return of value. If you're betting, I'd say, $500 you get $250 back. 1,000 you get 500. 10,000 you get 5,000. 50,000 you get 25,000. So the money line value is there on Chisora depending on your bankroll. Okay, depending on your bankroll. Wilder, the money line value is there no matter your bankroll. Whether your bankroll's $10 or $1,000, the money line value on Wilder, for obvious reasons, plus 185, right? Whenever we're in plus money, we're eating. Now, do I know many $1,000 bettors, $10,000 bettors who are going to pour that on Chisora? Will they? Maybe they won't show me the tickets prior though. You know what I'm saying? If you are going to, I want to see you. So from there, we have to now get sexy with our pick. We now have to say, how will this fight go down? Deontay Wilder on points is wild. And that's just historically, he doesn't win fights on points. 11-1. I think that is the least likely option is that. And look at the odds, 11-1 Wilder on points. Wilder by knockout, logically. Plus 240 is the move. And that would be a fun bet to make with this fight. The stressful bet to make on this fight would be Chisora on points, because then you're watching the entire fight worrying that one punch is going to land. So, like, hats off to the boys who are going to take points on this. And I might, because I like stress. Chisora on points is plus 300. If you're Chisora, I think that's the bet to make. And if you're Deontay, it's the knockout bet. If you don't want to stress, I don't know. Maybe we're different. I stress way more when I play points. I stress way more when I play points. It's so stressful. So maybe I don't mind Deontay by knockout at plus 240. But, you know, Chisora on points is plus 300. That's just how I see that fight going. Bentley had a lot of problems going to that Heaney fight. He smokes. Heaney 99. Kiza, what sort of problems? What sort of problems? Brendan, am I the only one that sees Wilder can defeat? No, man. No. I could see Brendan. I could see Deontay stopping him. If you can see Deontay, plus 240 is the move. That could easily be somebody's prop of the week. You know, take Deontay by whatever prop you go. I would be shocked if there was a double method option. I would take Deontay by stoppage or Chisora on points. Those would be my plays. Am I going to do that? I'm not sure yet. Do you have a Friday parlay? Oh, so John, you want me to specifically? I do have Renee on a parlay, and I also have Tapales on a parlay. But are you asking? I'm only getting 2 fights on that card. So as we get closer to fight night, I'm looking at a method of victory parlay just for Friday, and I'll do that for all the cards like always. Highlight of the fight it always is Delilah. It always is. So Bentley don't do good with pressure. Well, I'm not saying he doesn't do good, but when you watch the fights that he struggled with, it's when he's backing up forcefully. Heaney has been poor for a long time. He was supposed to have retired a long time ago. Yep, I do. I jumped on that. Dude. Jumped on that. The kid's boxing, his power, his sprawling, his hips, defending the takedown. Jumped on that. Deontay with quicker hands can beat Chisora to the punch. He's not, bro. And Chisora stands there and gets hit. I could see a world where Deontay jumps on Chisora early. I could see a world where he's aggressive early and goes for the stoppage. That's his path. Land that right hand. Chisora gets hit with everything. Thanks for the Josh Holmes tip. Appreciate you, Win. Thanks for the support. The community, you're a very valuable asset. You're one of our day ones in the Discord. Bentley can punch and looks good in spurts, but has rounds off. Yeah. How much are we investing in Bentley versus Sevdra? That's on you. How much are you investing in Chisora and Wilder? That's on you. What I'm thinking of, to make it entertaining, why not just parlay those 2 fights? You know, you take Sevdra and Bentley whichever way you like. You take Chisora and Wilder whichever way you like. And you just put it on 1 ticket. And if it doesn't lose, oh well, move on. You definitely don't sprinkle that on other tickets. You definitely don't use the Bentley Sevdra fight on multiple tickets, and definitely don't use Chisora and Wilder on multiple tickets. I wouldn't. But hey, what's the old saying? What do I know? Aussie Pugilist, you're on early. Yeah, I'm doing 2 today. I have a busy day. It's my Tuesday morning. You guys know I run a fitness coaching business. I've already had 2 clients. I had a 5 a.m. live stream and a 6 a.m. And I went live. I started this one at 7:15. I have a client at 8:45. I have another client at 9:45 down in my gym. and then I'm gonna go live again, and then I have another client at 1 p.m. I'm going to either go live for the second time, either 11:30 my time or 2 p.m. I think I'm gonna do 2 p.m. So you guys will see my big melon again probably in 7 hours. Hold on, you know that I told you that I can't bet on combat sports in South Australia. I found out that it's only boxing. You can't bet on boxing. So you can bet on MMA. So yeah, you're still in a good spot then, Ozzy. I've given you already my underdog of the week, and that's this weekend in the UFC. So check the members only section. You can't sin against God. You can't do that. Whatever you choose to do, you can do whatever you like to do. We get to live one life. Just do it with respect. Treat yourself good and treat the people who love you good. Other than that, we can't gatekeep how people think. You know what I'm saying? Treat yourself good, love yourself so you could love others. That's my golden rule. The only and this is me speaking from past life experience. When I was working in nightclubs in Las Vegas and bartending in LA, I was a degenerate, dude. I do everything under the moon. So it wasn't until I started loving myself that I was able to love others. So other than that, we don't need to gatekeep people's faith and philosophies. From here on out, all the streams going to be John Pablo boy. They are, man. Do you guys remember when the streams had 10 people? Has anybody been on with me long enough to when we were live streaming, there'd be 5 of us? And now on a Tuesday morning, we've peaked so far 92. So we're growing. Zerto going to beat Retro with the hot take. I don't see it, man. I don't see Zerto beating Benavidez. My issue with Zerto is his gears or lack thereof. Zerto fights to me like he's underwater a bit. Everything with Zerto seems that like Benavidez just I think Benavidez is special. And I was a late believer. You guys can find videos of me 2 years ago not saying this. 2 years ago, I was saying he needs to prove it to me. 2 years ago, I was saying I need to see some. And then watching him gradually go from 68 to 74, watching him how he dealt with was it Vosdick, his first fight at 74, and then just his evolution of how then he looked against Anthony Yard and what he did to Morrell. I'm a believer. He's not even 30. He's just entering his physical prime. This kid ticks all the boxes for me. I think he makes the Zerto Ramirez fight look pretty easy. Is that crazy or what? It sucks bad. You're going to get muted now. I'm sorry, bro. I have to mute you. You're in timeout. Guys, don't come. Look, I appreciate I appreciate whatever your faith is, whatever your spirituality is. Spirituality and my faith is a strong part of how I live my life. But this is a boxing betting show. Keep that out of the chat. And if you do bring it here, you're going to get put in a timeout. Is Troy Nash winning by knockout? That's the only question. Troy Nash is. What do the young kids say, Carl? Troy Nash is one of them ones. I like Troy Nash. I've been covering him since his amateur days. What's up, Luis Carlo Trigiano? Luis Carlo Trigiano. Chisora is so damn slow. I can see water. Me too. Me too. I look. This is an awful analogy. Gun to my head. I think that's the funnest bet, right? I think that's the funnest bet. Is like Wilder by knockout. Why nostalgia? Who wouldn't want to see that? Who wouldn't want to see Wilder turn the clock back with one of them? Boom! Straight down the pipe. A la Luis Ortiz. Just don't wait until the 11th or 12th round when you stress us all out. When we all picked you to win by knockout. You throw 14 punches in the entire fight and you wait for the perfect opportunity and then you just shut the lights out. Who wouldn't want to see that? But then again, who wouldn't want to see War Chisora? Win his 5th in a row? How many has War Chisora won in a row? Yeah, it'd be his fourth in a row since he lost to Tyson Fury. He beat Gerald Washington, Joe Joyce, Otto Wallen. You confident on the girls fight Ellie, Chantel? Yeah, I am. I'm confident on all three of those. I think Caroline Dubois is mean enough to really do huge things in the sport. She's young enough. People, one of my guys, one of my, one of these guys who texts me every day, Rabah, he lives in North America somewhere. He thinks Caroline Dubois is like one of them ones. And he has her on like 7 different tickets. Now, me personally, the longer you're on my channel, the more the JSB insiders know this. It's not my style to put the same fight on multiple tickets. I don't recommend doing that. I watch guys get burned week in and week out. I've been gambling since I was, like I said, at 11, 12 years old. I've lived in Las Vegas before. What I like to do is create the best opportunity to win consistently with the lowest opportunity of being burned multiple times. Meaning, to sum that up, he has Caroline in like 7 tickets. He thinks really, really high of her. She's in one of my tickets. I do have a ticket with all 3 on the same. I think the A side in the UK, this MVP, it's an MVP feature. Shout out, dude. We could only, Jake Paul, once again, putting the ladies on the map. And I think these are all feature fights. There is a fight on this card where I don't think the A side wins. Let me show you. Let me show you. So, before I get accused of whatever Twitter accuses me of destroying the odds and people call me a fraud, how do you call me a fraud for doing this? You know what I mean? It's so bizarre. But, that's neither here nor there. Here's the fight I really like. This one. So, I am about... So, Irma Garcia is the world champion. She's a Mexican fighter. This will be her 32nd pro fight. She is 44 years old. Don't forget that. But 44 in women's boxing isn't 44 in men's boxing. She turned pro when she was 29. She is the world champion. She's Mexican. She's coming to the UK as the B side with over 30 pro fights to fight Emma Dolan, who has 8 fights. We have seen this time and time again, guys. We pick up on pattern recognition. I don't know, and thank God the bookies don't. Last year we had last year we saw at least 5 times a Latin American or Mexican fighter traveling abroad, specifically to the UK, as the B side with over 30 fights, fighting a local fighter who's the A side, who's way less experienced. And this goes back to Bronco Lara. I mean, Bronco Lara came in as an underdog to the UK multiple times and upset the cards. We saw it with Frankie Rodriguez against Galal Yafai, coming from Mexico, Latin America, Mexican Americans coming to the UK, being a massive dogs and upsetting the odds. We saw you could kind of align this with like the seasoned veteran fighting the amateur, but the veteran is the underdog. Jazza Dickens against Badr Gaziev. Jazz is not Mexican, but those 2 parallels are aligned. So when we're looking at experience versus inexperience, A side versus B side, Irma Garcia is the B side. She's the world champion. Her 31st pro fight. She is the veteran going against a UK girl with 8 fights. I am this close from taking Irma as my dog of the week at plus 320. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. We got Floyd Coaching in the house. Shout out to our newest YouTube JSB Insider, Floyd Coaching. The link to get to the Discord is pinned in the post section, the members only section. If you need anything, message me. Welcome to the squad. I'm thinking 300 on Van. I love it. I love it. I got Josh. Josh Van is next week. Oh, did I jump the gun on that? Did I jump the gun on that? I thought April 12th. Well, we got our action in anyway. We'll just let that ride. If anyone doesn't know, I have Josh Van on the money line as my dog of the week. So that's next week. So I got to fix that. So here's some insight on Denzel Bentley. Bentley's first kid was born and the kid had health problems and in the build. Okay. This is why our chat is undefeated. This is why you got to join the Discord. It's not about me. It's not about me telling you what to do. I did not know this. And we asked this question, and Bentley or Bobsy says, ask and thou shalt receive. Bentley's first, how did Bentley look like that against Heaney and then look so different in future fights? Health problems, man. Emotions are real. He looked like he didn't want to be there against Heaney. Bentley was a 17-1 favorite, by the way. That's insane. Do you remember when it was like 10? Tell me you remember my... Yeah, I do, Nathan. I do. We had 10 people in this bitch. Now we peaked at 100 today. We're at 80 right now. It's a Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. We're growing, guys. This is my favorite thing about what I do, is this community. 2 people. John Pablo was here with 2 people. Talk about the ground floor. Benavidez beats Zerto. Zerto beats Jai. Zerto beats Jai. Hot take. I just can't see Jai beating him. He struggled with Bradis, who was old and active. Bradis, though, is a tough matchup. And Jai is still kind of learning on the job. And, you know, Bradis, I don't think Bradis gets the respect he deserves. Bradis is a tough matchup. Jai would dog walk Zerto, mate. Do you think Zerto beats? I don't think so, dude. I think Zerto gets beaten. I think Jai beats the brakes off of Zerto. For the record, John, we're not a competition, dude. This is thank you, I appreciate you. This is one of my favorite quotes. Is comparison is the thief of joy. I first read that quote when I was, I think, a junior in high school. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? So how I interpret that is, and this is what I tell my clients, this is what I tell the young dudes I coach, is the fact that you should only compare yourself to you. You know what I mean? I've met on this social media journey. I've met so many guys who started wanting to be content creators, wanting to do this, and they're good at it. They're like, I know guys who stopped doing this, who are beasts at it, who know the sport in and out, who like I learned from, right? And they stop because they weren't growing fast enough, or they stop because this creator has more subscribers than them, so they stop. Nothing bums me out more than when I see that, because that just shows you that they're comparing themselves to other people. Don't compare yourself to anyone in any phase of your life. This is why boxing is the greatest sport. It looks like on the surface that our favorite fighters are going into fight against an opponent, which they are, but in reality, that fighter is fighting themselves. They are trying to be better than they were the fight before, especially at the highest level. The fighters who are taking this serious, the fighters who want to create a legacy, the fighters who want to become world champions and remain world champions, they're not fighting the guy across the ring. They're fighting what their last performance was. They're comparing themselves to what they look like prior. They're not comparing themselves to other people. Comparison is the thief of joy. I appreciate that comment. But just so you know how I'm wired, I only look at what we're doing. I only look at how can I get better? How can I improve more? And what's the word of 2026? I told you guys this January 1st, 2026. Value. How can I add more value to our squad? Retro, backing it up with Benavidez, I believe his power has not transitioned the same, and at Cruiser, Zerto punches a lot harder. Okay. No, look, I'm not shading your pick. I just don't see it happening. There's something about that we can't And it's not. I'm maybe the power thing is true, but it's not always about power. There's so many other things to winning a boxing fight than just power. Timing, pressure, space, fight IQ, gears, volume. You know what I'm saying? All those other things Benavides does. Benavides does so many things well that you can't that aren't written down on paper. The optics of how a fight happens, where the fight takes place, and he's still growing. Benavides I don't think Benavides hasn't hit a ceiling yet. Was he 28? He's still growing physically and as a fighter. That's what makes him really exciting. That's crazy. I only have 30. See, I can't see as I'm live streaming. I can't see the likes. We had 102 people in here and we had 76 now. 13 likes is super disrespectful. That shit's insane. That is super disrespectful. Remember I said the only way you guys could ever really disrespect the only time I ever get offended on this sort of thing, what we do here, is when we get new JSB insiders and they relegate me to just my tickets. What I don't see where your tickets are at. Where are your bets at? It's like they look past all the research, all the work, all the time, all the energy, all the passion I put into this, and they deduce me down to where's your ticket at? That way to offend me. Secondly, is when we have 100 people in here and only 13 people liked it. Super offensive. Chat is still popping. We're approaching an hour. Hey, Johnny, who do you like? I'm torn on this right now. I'm torn on this. I think this is a 50-50. I don't know who the favorite is. I could look Cortez. This is the main event. Zuffa main event. It's a great main event. We've been winning money week in and week out on these 5 Zuffa cards, so I'm excited to break it down. Johnny, do you follow strict unit size? I do. I'm doing 1%. Yeah. So it really comes down to your bankroll. It really comes down to what you can afford to lose. Okay. I always talk about this. Everybody looks at what do I want to win? How much am I going to win? If you want to consistently win money betting on boxing, you have to be real with yourself and define what are you willing to lose. Once we start there and you're able to marginalize what you're willing to lose, then you're able to decipher what your normal unit per bet should look like. Everyone's going to be different. We have whales in here, people who are betting thousands. We have entertainment bettors, people who just love the sport. And, I'm not going to watch, my boy right here isn't going to watch Jerome Warburton versus Nathan Heaney regularly. But if he puts $25 on it, he will. So that's what I like to call entertainment bettors. And then everyone else in between. There's strategy bettors. There's guys, what I always tell people, you have guys who win consistently, but they have nothing to show for because they'll win a couple $100, a couple $1,000, and then they get greedy and then they double down and then they lose. So that's an example of not having boundaries or strategies. What I always tell people who are just new to this is if your winnings can pay a bill, if in your account right now, you're just getting started, you're understanding strategy, you're understanding the concept, how to consistently win, and you're winning, but you don't have anything to show for because you keep carrying it over. What I tell you right now then at the beginning is if it can pay a bill, if you have money in your account and it can pay whatever bill, your electric, your gas, take it out. If it can pay a bill, withdraw it. Why? Because then this puts you in a system, a pattern of behavior of it becoming real. Nothing is tangible if you have nothing to show for. But if you're doing your research, you're tuning into the lives, you're betting your hard-earned money on boxing and you're winning, and then you're also withdrawing that to pay your monthly mortgage or if you're leasing a car, you didn't buy the car, or, your quarterly utility bills, then it's real. But if you're doing all this and you're not doing that, you have nothing to show for, that's a rookie error. Jay's one of our sharps. You guys should know Jay. I'm leaning Wilder right now. Chisora is taking more punishment than any boxer I've seen in the last. Chisora. I came up with the idea in the Discord of coming together to do either JSB Insider group parlay or a JSB Insider group prop bet, this might be one of those fights that'd be fun to do it. Like having a bet where we're all kind of like in it together. And if we win, we're up. And if we lose, it's kind of more fun than anything. Because I'm not going to go too heavy on this fight. I just got to be honest with you. Only other time was Felix Cash was more likely. Yeah, the Felix Cash fight. Sometimes Gary bets with his heart. Yeah. And look, Palooka, and that's fine. Gary's been in the game just like me our whole lives. And, it took me a while to understand that about him. Like, like Gary will say a lot of stuff where it's just tongue in cheek. He's kind of like a dry humor comic. Once you get to know him, he's actually pretty funny. He says some crazy shit, but I think that pick. I was explaining this to one of my buddies the other day. I went through this phase. I'm being real with you guys on this. When my buddy Kelly Pavlik retired, I think I've said this before. So I was childhood friends with Kelly the Ghost Pavlik. We were friends since we were 6 years old. We were baseball players. We grew up in the same neighborhood. We traveled the state of Ohio playing baseball. He was my catcher. I was the pitcher. So we had this close relationship from the time we were young boys. So we went from winning Little League championships together to boxing, and then I stopped boxing. He kept boxing, and then I watched Kelly become who he became. And I was at all of his fights. Even when I lived in LA, I moved to LA in 2004. I was at the Anaheim when he fought Max Zertuche in the co-main, and he froze Zertuche in the 10th, 9th or 10th. I was with him on his run from when he beat Max Zertuche as an underdog, knockout of the year, when he beat Edson Miranda. Miranda was this brutal knockout artist, and Kelly starched him, and then he got the Jermaine Taylor, the first fight in Atlantic City. I was at that fight when he knocked out Jermaine Taylor as a massive underdog. And then when Kelly hung him up, Kelly was supposed to fight Paul Williams, and then the Andre Ward fight fell through. And when Kelly retired, I went through this phase of not watching boxing. So I went through this phase from about 2000, probably for about 4 years of not watching any boxing. Because I psychoanalyze all of my wins. And this is about what he's saying about Thurman. I think because I wasn't watching boxing during Thurman's rise, that little small era from the time you're a freshman to a senior, 4 years, I never got attached to him. And I think, though, that if you are with a fighter on a run, the older that fighter gets, you're probably going to be emotionally attached to him. I am void of that with a lot of I don't have, and because I grew up with Kelly, that kind of limited me from ever being cheering for another fighter, because he's my buddy to this day. He's a good friend of mine. And so I've never been one to cheer for fighters. I'm a fan of the sport. And so I think that I have been guilty of this, though. If you remember late last year, I had a beef with Turki Al-Sheikh. I had beef with Turki Al-Sheikh. Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't? And after they robbed my boy Carlos Adames against Hamza Shiraz, after Hamza Shiraz talked all that shit that he was going to clean out the division at 160, he was going to beat Adames, he was going to beat Alam Hanalei, and he gets his ass beat against Shiraz, or gets his ass beat against Adames, and they call it a draw, and then he leaves the division to go to 168. Who did he get paired with? Berlanga. So that is my example of betting with my heart and not with my wallet, because I was anti-Al-Sheikh, and because of my beef with Al-Sheikh, I was anti-Shiraz. That then led me to bet on Edgar Berlanga, and we know how that turns out. So, guys, we all get guilty of this. We can all trip ourselves up with betting emotionally. Bet with our wallets, not with our hearts. Is Tatter in a safe parlay piece? Yeah. He is. He is. Do your film study. I love that fight. This is a good comparison. Me too. And I'm a Hamza fan. I'm not a Shiraz hater. I can't wait to see him fighting again. I had to get over my own shit with Turkey, and we're cool now. I remember this Zertuche fan was a big fan of Kelly. If you listen, you should be going to. What did Lewis say? I've lost some money on betting now that I analyze it. Same. Well, for me, I took Canelo too. And I'm a Bud Crawford fan. So I tricked myself. I took Canelo because that's a logical pick. I brought this up earlier in the stream, Lewis, if you were on, and I talked about, we have betting logically versus betting emotionally, but even sometimes when you bet logically, it burns you. Because on paper, the boxing coach in me, the guy who boxed when I was a kid in me, the boxing writer, the analyst in me is like, for how much I'm a Bud Crawford fan, for how much I, admire his career, surely everybody has their limits. Surely this kid who beat Ricky Burns at 135 pounds and who won titles at 40 and 47 and had one fight at 54 against Madrimov in a really close fight, surely he can't go from all that and skip 160 and go to 168 and fight a generational great and beat him. So that was my logic. It had nothing. And I took Canelo too. All right, boys.